Now I'm delighted to introduce our speaker for today, Rodrigo Loro. Rodrigo has been with Mecanoo as an architect since 2005, after graduating as an architect and urban planner from the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil in 2003. As a key player in Mecanoo's integrated design teams, Rodrigo has contributed to a broad range of public, cultural, commercial, and mixed-use projects. Highly experienced in developing design visions based on comprehensive research and analysis, Rodrigo has a natural ability to translate concepts into buildings that reach beyond the site to enhance their local surroundings. Driven by a belief that good architectural practice is focused on people and collaboration, Rodrigo brings his international experience to deliver projects for a wide variety of users. And with that, I'm so excited to see your presentation today. Take it away, Rodrigo.
Hi, Paul. Thank you so much for the introduction, and hello to everyone that is joining this presentation. Well, we are Mecanoo, and our office is based in the Netherlands, in Delft. This is our building, and then later we are going to show you, you're going to see a little bit more of this, what's happening inside, behind this facade. But Delft is also the city where the technical university is. And this campus houses one of our most iconic and maybe known building, which is the TU Delft Library. You see here on the bottom left of the picture. What's interesting about this campus is also it also has changed a lot in the past year. This was a campus designed in the 60s and very much car oriented. And in front of all these faculties, we had like gigantic car parkings. After the library, we were also invited to transform the campus. And we made this plan that you see with a lot of green areas, but also pedestrian paths and even like a tram line crosses the campus now. It's much more pedestrian friendly and much more green. Mecanoo, we are about 130 people. We are not like a very large office. Some other offices in the Netherlands are much bigger. But we are an office that is quite multicultural. We have more than 25 different nationalities. And a part of being multicultural, we are also multidisciplinary. We have architects, we have urban planners, we have landscape architects, interior designers, we have technical architects among us. And I want to ask Paul, maybe he will play a short video of Mecanoo, what we call a day in Mecanoo. So you're going to see a little bit more of how our office is if you have not seen that before on the internet.
And all the trees, but they were like
So be prepared for unpredictable change. What happened then? That they went
Tainan City.
Okay, yeah, so this is a little bit like what happens behind the doors of Mecanoo. We are just celebrating 40 years of existence, of practice. Actually, 2 weeks ago, we had a very nice party here in our office where clients and our former colleagues came to visit us. It was a big celebration. And throughout these 4 decades, Mecanoo has been really designing with focus on people, place, and purpose. And we are an office that has an approach, it's very human-centered, and we are always looking at the social aspects and cultural aspects of the locations we design. And of course, the program also changes. You know, we are in a world that is in constant transformation. And we had just released this book last year where we added poetry to it, because we believe that our projects reach out to the and connect people in architecture. So I think this layer of poetry is what we are happy to add to these for 40 years of projects. Mecanoo is not known for a formal language. We don't have a certain signature in designs. This is just like very few of our projects around the world. And then you see that there is always a different approach. And this, we don't have a formal language, but we have a certain attitude, which is we dive into every project with the same open mind and in collaboration with the clients and understanding the context, we are able to create very different buildings and projects around the globe. Yeah, the title I gave for this presentation is like Finding Identity in a Globalized World. And as you just saw, we work worldwide. So for me, it would not make sense to get projects from different places, but I want to frame 4 designs, 4 projects that we did in the past 20 years in a very delimited geographical area and cultural area, which is, the projects are in Taiwan, but even in Taiwan, we are, I'm going to show you projects in Taiwan, in Tainan and in Kaohsiung. They are 2 big cities very close to each other. And my idea is to also to show you how this attitude can create completely different formal outcomes. So the first project is the National Kaohsiung Center for the Arts. This was, maybe you have seen this building on the internet or in publications. This was, it's a cultural complex made of 4 indoor theaters and an outdoor amphitheater. And this was a design competition we did almost 20 years ago, 18 years ago. And we won this competition. And then I will show you a little bit the design process behind this. This project is in Kaohsiung. Kaohsiung is the harbor city in Taiwan. It has this very strong character, but also, as you may know, and maybe you have visited or not, but it shares this very specific character about that you find in many Asian cities, which is very dynamic, I would say almost chaotic, you know, like it's full of life. And this life especially happens also in the evenings because we are talking about tropical climates and it's very hot and humid. So a lot of the social life happens in the evening times. And even like Chinese opera is very informal. So they travel around, they set the stage, and they do their performance. This project was, again, like in 2005, the city of Kaohsiung, the Cultural Bureau of Taiwan, decided to make a competition for a cultural complex of theaters in a former military compound. So you see here the aerial picture, and you see the barracks, and then you see also that quite some green. This area was it's full of big trees, but especially these ones that are called the banyan trees, that they have these very interesting, of course, like the roots and the trunk. It kind of almost connects to the top of the tree. So they are very specific from tropical climates, but especially in this park, you have many of them. Even before the building was finished, the park was open to the public, and in early mornings and late afternoons or in the evening, a lot of people went there to do exercise, to do Tai Chi, and to enjoy even like a good nap under these trees. The project, as I said, like is a cultural complex of theaters. You see here like a playhouse, opera house, concert hall, and a recital hall, and the open air theater. So actually, when we did the competition, what was important for us is like, okay, we have the harbor city of Kaohsiung, and then we have this kind of program that is almost, yeah, you can imagine like a certain type of group of people that would attend an opera or a concert hall or a concert in a more formal way. So we're thinking, how can we combine, how can we make something that is also for everyone in Kaohsiung? So as you see in the diagram, first thing we thought is like, okay, maybe we want to create a space that is open to everyone, that you don't necessarily need to go to a performance to be able to experience this building. So you see like the first sketch that it looks like almost like a section. So our idea was to make a very permeable building. And then you see here, like in the master plan of the park, which was part of the design competition, the building sits in the middle of the park, and then it's almost like a continuation of the path, the greenery. You see the five or the bubbles, the pink bubbles. They are like almost like large trees, large banyan trees that are part of the landscape. And then these were images we presented back then, and you have to imagine that this is like year of 2005. I think nowadays probably we would not do so abstracted renders, but this was like the dream of being in the park and then walking towards the building. And then when you enter, you are in this open air space, it's covered, and you are just moving in between the theaters. You can see a little bit like the foyer space, but you are in a very open and public area. And this building would be transformed in the evening for performance and different purpose, but again, like all in this open space. So later in the design, the building has moved a little bit more closer to the metro exits, the main roads, but still you see like the language, the organic language stayed, integrating architecture and the gardens and the landscape around. So you see that the buildings are still separated, and then the space in between is a connection between the city and the park that is not in this image, but that is around this south area of the image. The building actually is designed almost from inside out. So you see the bumpy roof. Each bump is one of the theaters, and the building is the design is almost like a cutout of these trees, of these bumps. So the facade for us, the outer facade was not important. You know, if we needed like 5 meters more or less, we would do a certain cut on the building, and then it's almost like few sections of this group of buildings. So, but then the inner space was extremely important, and then here in the design development, you see that it looks almost like concrete type, but we were still researching how to make the materialization of this space. And of course, we know that Taiwan is it's also a country that has a lot of earthquakes. In a way, concrete was not a good idea. So we even explored, maybe we do with small mosaic tiles, but again, like the scale of the building will be a little bit of a challenge. And then they are also not very good if there is earthquakes, I can tell you. This was a mock-up we did for an exhibition for a fair in Milan. So we shipped the mock-up there. We were experimenting. So we came to realize that, of course, the obvious choice was to make aluminum cladding for this in-between space. But it was a bit too obvious. So we wanted something different. And it came to mind that, of course, we are in Kaohsiung, is the harbor city. So they have a shipyard industry there. So they built like big structures with double curved steel elements, and they are in large size. So we said, okay, maybe we should go and investigate what happens if they are helping us to design this building, to use that as a finished material. So as the building took its final shape, you see the whole steel structure was there. Of course, that was already decided that this would be our interior cladding of the Banyan Plaza. So here you see like the raw structure, and we started to, we start to bring the panels, of course, like you see the scale of them, you compare with the little truck, they are very large panels. So they are all different from each other, and they were designed and engineered to be mounted on this steel structure. And then each piece is different, as I said. So they are very large. So you can imagine that we were mounting them, and the space starts to take shape. So you see like the cladding, large piece, and then even like, of course, like you have like the welding, and then later the finish that you also see on the boats, on the ships. So you see that this starts to become like the final appearance of this building. And to be honest, we even enjoyed that the building has this kind of texture, because for us it was interesting that we brought something that is on the harbor, that's a strong identity for Kaohsiung, into the building, into the architecture of this building. So you see the park over there. So the building, it's really the continuation of the park. And then here with the facade almost done, the interior facade. So again, like as a metaphor to be under the banyan trees, it was also very important to have daylight penetrating the building. So we have daylight in the open areas, daylight in the foyer space of the theaters, and then every space that you walk in between. It's very important, this connection, that you bring daylight into the various space. As a building is fully realized, you know, this is like an image of daytime in the building. Of course, the evenings and performing times, let's say, it was also very important. So part of the design was to create these chandeliers that they have, of course, like lights down, you can project lights up. So they kind of are placed in several areas of the Banyan Plaza. And this is the building in at the day of opening back in 2018, where the Banyan Plaza was completely flooded by public, people that were going to watch the performance in the theaters, but also people that just went there to visit, to see what was going on there. We did imagine a lot of different uses, but mostly performance, in the performance spectrum. But this building has been utilized in so many different ways that we could never ever foresee. I'm not going, the purpose of this or the idea of this presentation is not to dive into all the details of the project, but I just want to show that every theater has its own character, its own identity. And this is the concert hall with the Philharmonic of Rotterdam playing there. It was a very special moment for us that we could bring together Kaohsiung and Rotterdam, both harbor cities. So the Philharmonic plays every 2 years in the concert hall in Kaohsiung. And this is the outdoor amphitheater that actually, it was meant to be people sitting there and then seeing a performance on the lawn, but it also happens the other way around. Performances take place on the tribuna, and then people are sitting around. So I think this building, it's very interesting because in a such cultural complex like that, where you would imagine that would be for a certain group of people, we are able to create something that is part of the daily life of the citizens of Kaohsiung. So everyone can go to this building. They don't need to go to watch any specific performance. It's always very open. It's really like a connection between the city and the park. And then I will move to I will present 4 projects. So this is the second one, the Kaohsiung train station master plan. This was a completely different process, but I think, as I mentioned, like the attitude we had towards this building really made it something very interesting, and the outcome was almost like unexpected. So this is the area where the station is, and Kaohsiung, like many other cities in Taiwan, is going through a major transformation. That the railway that's above ground is being tunnelized. So, and then in Kaohsiung is about 10 kilometers. So this is the area of the station. You see that in the center. This project was a different process. Whereas the Performing Arts Center was a competition, this was a commission we got invited to join. In the year 2000, SOM designed this mega structure as again, like in the spirit of the time. Many cities were looking for iconic architecture. We did our iconic architecture with the Performing Arts Center, and this was the iconic architecture for Kaohsiung train station. But this design did not went through the urban review committee of the city. So then a few years later, Finishing architects, local architects, they were called to, okay, can you redesign these? The clients were looking for a solution to be able to go through. But this project also did not went through. So in the year of 2014, because we were getting known by our project of the theaters, the engineering company called us. Can you help us? Can you we need to go through the urban review. And this was what the conditions we encountered, like the whole project, the whole structure, and then the position of the program, such as buildings, but also the entrance to go to the underground station. There is also a metro line crossing this site. So everything was designed for the project you just saw in the pictures. So even the second architects, they had to adapt a little bit to the design that was already under construction. So when we started this, we encountered this project, we encountered this situation, like a construction site. There is this viaduct that crosses the whole area. There is this existing building, which was Japanese colonial station from the almost 80 years ago, a bit more than 8 years ago, that has been moved from the original position when they built the viaduct. So it's very chaotic, to be honest. And the whole east and west area was completely underground with the first phase of the tunnels, because the station, of course, had to be running still. You see the railway above ground still on the right side. So we saw, okay, we visited the location. This is like a big, important axis in the city. And we noticed that the previous design did not do much, or almost nothing for the people that live around the station. So this is the neighborhood around the station, which is it's very dense, kind of low scale, but very dense, with a lot of residential and commercial, almost like informal commercial space. So we look at them and say, okay, what can we give back to this area of the city? So of course, we had some ideas when we started the project, but they all shared the same goal, that we would create something that has more public space and greenery. So you see it in the picture, we always had the idea of making something that was more human scale, and but still like a kind of canopy with buildings around, because we had to keep the buildings, the clients wanted them. So we had a lot of public engagement, stakeholders. We did several presentations with the neighbors, but also the clients, of course. And then we came up with this design, which is a multi-layered public space, where you have, of course, the below levels with the sunken plazas, the ground level with public space and the entrance of the buildings. And then what is the biggest achievement for us is that we could create this large green canopy as almost like a public park. And so the potential of the green corridor in this render, you see it very well, like a green stripe, where the Kaohsiung station is the epicenter of this design. So it's really the moment where everything comes together. So as I told you, like the buildings, we could not change much, the position, also the sunken plazas. So, but we did one thing that was for us extremely important. Before, there was a road cutting the side more on the north area, middle north. And then we were like, okay, we don't need this road. We want to make like pedestrians to walk freely around the site. And our design was also to connect to the small streets of the neighborhood. So the canopy shape, it's a natural consequence of connecting to this urban fabric of the surroundings. Here you see like the render that shows the Japanese station, the colonial station, back to the axis, and then you see this large canopy acting as almost like a extended park from the green corridors. Again, fundamental sustainability is important for us, so we did very simple solutions. So, for example, just like this kind of large green roof, it's really like great water retaining solution. So we have solar panels. But the most important thing is that by creating a more human scale canopy, we are able to cool down the lower levels, the ground floor area, because as soon as you walk and then you enter in this structure, you feel that the temperature drops a lot. It's really pleasant. We had a great idea of, we understood what we would do on the roof. So it's kind of landscaped linear park. But for us, the user experience is also important. So what happens when the passengers come from underground or they arrive at the station? So it's important that when they come, especially from underground, what do you see? So the ceiling was very important for us, how to deal with that. And so, of course, visiting the city, we noticed that a lot of public space, especially in front of temples or even like in residential buildings, like houses and stuff, they kind of, in the festive moments, they create this canopy of lampions. And that actually was something very interesting. We thought that could be nice to translate that into a ceiling that really connects to the emotional aspect of people, so that you can relate to that. So we designed the ceiling, and then we kind of found a geometry that that would fit in a more rational way. So, and then the ceiling and the lampions, they start to take over of the whole canopy as a new ceiling. So we did design the lamp with a local company. This lamp can also change color, and then it creates also, of course, there is a functional light, but also ambient light. And there will be also commission to design different public arts that plays with the different areas of the station, and then it plays with the lighting. But this is like the final, that was the render at that time. When we did, this is the main sunken plaza with the pebble and lampion ceiling. And this is like how it is. This is a picture of the building recently. And then, as I said, the building is built in so many different phases that it started like this, with these very difficult conditions of the viaduct, the existing station. On the left, you see the what they call the temporary station. And then as the project developed, the station started to grow, and then the infrastructure, the new roads were able to be opened to the public, so the viaduct could be demolished. The old station that was 25 years ago moved to the corner of the site, went back to the original position in the axis. So it's step by step, this master plan, this station is taking shape. And then at the end of this year, we are going to be able to walk on the green roofs of the canopy. So this is like a picture in between the buildings, looking down to the axis. So I can imagine that in the evening time, this is going to be heavily used by people. Also in 2018, the very first train did drive in the tunnel, the recently opened tunnel. This was a picture of the celebration of this milestone. And step by step, this canopy is taking shape, and then I think, yeah, by next year we are going to be able to visit and then walk on this green roof. I think for us, this project was an opportunity of exploring a different typology for a transportation hub. Normally, you would have like, yeah, a station building or I don't know, something else. But this was really like an opportunity to create something that is much more public and much more connected to, yeah, to a sustainable solution. So I will move now to the third project, which is the Kaohsiung social housing. This project is very interesting. Like Mecanoo has a great tradition of residential buildings and also affordable housing. This was a competition we did in 2016, and then we did visit like different residential buildings to understand how people live, and then of course it's very common that differently from many other cultures, people don't really go to the house unless you're a family, but the community meets outside, and they love to take care of green space. It's very informal how greenery it's part of the daily life of the citizens, of the residents of such buildings. So just for an overview, again, like we just saw the Kaohsiung station in the middle there, and as part of the green corridor, this site became available. And as part of the competition, we had to design a master plan and develop one plot. So again, like this was a railway courtyard that became available. So very important two principles to connect east, north and south direction. So we open up the site to the existing urban fabric. And as part of the plan, we really wanted to create courtyards that would represent the entrance of the different buildings on this plan. This is the schematic volumetric of the master plan, and we were set to design the first plot, which is on the left side of the screen, the triangular plot. So during the design process, we start to understand more what's the residential typologies, or what are the buildings that are for living in Kaohsiung, but in Taiwan in general also. And then we noticed that, of course, one thing I mentioned before, it's a seismic area, so earthquakes are very common. So the structures are very, very dominant, and they are very heavy and large. And then we noticed that the architects are always trying to disguise them, so they don't want to show it. And so we said, okay, why not? Maybe we can play with that. So we wanted to work with the structure, not against it. And so for us, as you saw as you see in this picture, the building is almost like a transition from a very strict grid into something more chaotic, which is also part of how the buildings are in Taiwan. So this is like a very nice image that shows the building, the first plot of the social housing, the development, and then how important the west views, or the west direction on the project is. So you see the green corridor, a bit up there you see the Kaohsiung station under construction. So by the condition of the plot, we were clear that we had to create almost like two, similar but still different typologies of buildings. So the what we call the Tower A is on the left side, the small footprint, and Tower B on the right side, the large footprint. So how did we work with the program? Of course, the program changed a little bit during the design after winning the competition, but then they are like different units. We have very small units of like studios, 25 square meters, 2 bedrooms, 50, and 3 bedrooms, 70, sometimes a bit bigger, depending on the location on the building. But you know, it's kind of 3 typologies. So we thought that was a good idea to place them in the Tower B, in the larger tower, and then having on the Tower A more mixed type of program where we have also dwellings, but most of the shared space that the clients wanted to have. So here is like a diagram, and then I think what's special about this is that mostly you would have this collective space on the ground floor or the second floor or on the roof. But because of the special condition of the site, we proposed to have them vertically. So to benefit from the views and also to be able to create something a little bit more expressive. So the courtyards are the entrance. This one is has a small playground that the residents can use. And the first building, the Tower A building, has this sequence of terrace and shared space that alternate on the facade, and then it creates this expression of boxes, of volumes that are popping out from this structural grid. Again, like collective space were decided with the clients that we did not design all of them in once. So they wanted to create because these, I'll explain quite quickly, people apply to live in this house. So they don't buy, of course, they are rental. And then the applications were so many that they had to make a lottery to pick people who would live. And then based on the people that live there, they will create the shared space according to their wishes. So for example, in the beginning, we always thought that we want to have shared kitchens, study areas, lounge, and things like that. So these programs are going to happen, but they want to consultate the local residents to see for very specific needs, which I think is very interesting because sometimes you have a group of stakeholders for this kind of project, but they don't necessarily represent the wishes of everyone. Anyway, so then as you move up, the project has these amazing views, alternating open space and volumes and enclosed program. And I think for us, this project was, it's very interesting because we did not create an alien project to what happens in the residential market in Kaohsiung or in Taiwan, but it's still a project that stands out, that played with something that in general is very negative, and it kind of created a very interesting typology and also architecture. I don't know if you can notice, but all the way up in the image, we have the Performing Arts Center of the park. And that's also not an alien project. It really fits that context, although the shape is more futuristic. The last project is Tainan Public Library, which we are very happy that we won this year the A+ prize for People's Choice. So this project, it was a competition also back in 2015. And Mecanoo is an office that is very experienced in libraries. And we have done libraries in many different cultural contexts, like in the Netherlands, UK, in the US also, and of course in Taiwan. And then we know that learning environments are in constant transformation. So it's something that you have to be prepared for unpredictable change. So in Tainan was no different. Tainan is the 4th city in Taiwan in population, and it's a city that's completely different from Taipei and Kaohsiung even. It's a city that has a very strong tradition. It's very traditional in that sense, but also, of course, it's like very much future forward with, as a whole country is also very high tech. So we want to combine these two elements in a building. So again, like as we started the design, we had some ideas of how we want to deal with many aspects, how we want to make a building that's more open, how do we want to make a building that is also protecting from the sun. You know, it's very hot climate, so we want to make a sustainable building with passive solutions. So Then we start to sketch, and then we wanted to make this kind of shifted box or piled box, but they would be protected by a large volume or canopy. We did not know at that time. And then, of course, we deep inside, we have a strong connection and, in a way, knowledge about vernacular architecture. They have all the solutions you can imagine, that it's all in there. We don't need super high-tech solutions. So, and again, like how did we build a narrative for this design competition? We look at this building, which is the temple of Confucius in Tainan City, in the old town. And then we saw they have all the elements. They have, it's like a transition space. You have a beautiful crown, you have beautiful ceilings, and then you have like, you know, a structure there. So we try to translate that into the architecture of the library, which shares, in a way, the same principles with great attention to the facade, to I'm not afraid of saying, to the decorative elements of it. So we wanted to give really good attention to the ceilings and to the skin of the building. As I said, the building, again, like we did many other libraries, but this one has had not the biggest budget of all of them. So we had to be also smart in the solutions we wanted to give, and then what was our fight to have. So we started from the beginning. We want a flexible building. We cannot afford big cantilevers or crazy shapes. So our building was, from the beginning, this is a very simple construction of a grid of columns. But here, again, like we put effort in making the columns the most elegant possible. So we divided a large column into 4 small columns, and this is almost like a forest of bamboo columns. I will quickly show how the building is divided, because it's also very important that how you want to activate, how do you want to make a good library, where do you put your functions. So on the ground floor, you have the most public area. You have the welcome desk, of course, the newspaper, magazines. It's like the living room of the library. The basement is what we call the lower ground floor, where you have the kids' library, cafe, and we did design, it's not a basement because we have 4 sunken parts, so you have a lot of daylight coming to that space. And for the kids' library, you have outdoor areas for the kids to get a book, and they do a lot of activities there as well. And they are protected. So on the second floor, we have also very public program. We have the teenagers, we have multimedia, we have study areas. Actually, Paul is sitting on the second floor, if you see his screen. You see a bit of the computers there. So this is also a very public area. Then you move to the third floor, and you have a more traditional library with general collections. And then all of these volumes are very transparent, and they are under this large volume, which became the protection of all of them. And then there we have the Taiwanese collections with exhibition space, with Taiwanese authors, and this is like the largest footprint of the building. It protects the whole, all the levels below. Then we have the last floor with office of the library, but also conference space and a theater. So here you see 2 images that I like very much, 2 pictures of the building. One is that one that shows the outside with the skin wrapping around the whole building. So great attention to the facade, but also the ceilings. You see how transparent the columns are. It's really beautiful and elegant. And then inside, when you went in the building, it's very different atmosphere. It's more vibrant. We have a lot of wood and bold colors. We designed this staircase that became one of the favorite spots for an Instagram picture. A lot of people go there just take pictures. And then this is like the first 3 levels. So when you enter, you have this beautiful artwork from a British artist, and Paul Coxett, if I say his name correctly. So it's quite beautiful because it crosses the whole void, and then it's almost like a moment frozen in time of these white paper sheets that are blown by wind. So it's really amazing. Also very Instagramic moment of the library. And then as you move up, you see like it's a quite warm palette, and the building is very simple in a way. It's based on 4 different cores, and then all the other space are very open space, so it's extremely flexible also. This is the level above, like what I say, the big box, and there we have, of course, higher ceilings in some areas, and a lot of exposure to the exterior. So this is the floor that's more outside. So it was very important to also protect that, because we want to create a very transparent building that is pleasant to be inside. And then I will dive into that just after this, but also showing you a little bit of the theater, on the right side. But you see like how the light penetrates the building. A lot of people, we did this sitting along the facade. A lot of people love to go there and read and study and using their laptops. So it's really like a place to go. So, okay, how did we protect this top facade? In the competition time, we had a different design. The principles were the same. We want to make louvers, very thin louvers that would create almost like an effect of a curtain. But then during the design process, the clients asked, yeah, maybe we want to see different ideas. So we tested all the things. And one of the things that came as an inspiration was the window grills, the window elements in this very specific street in Tainan. And then also, you see on the left side, the picture, you see a bit of a paper cut technique, which is also very typical. You play a lot with beautiful drawings and geometries. So we thought maybe this could be interesting to use, since we are talking also almost like we want to cover a big window. So we designed that. We designed it like how a pattern would transition from one to another. So it's like a continuous wrapping around the building. And it really creates a very beautiful image. And even like with the light, it changed a lot. It's a rather simple detail, but it's very effective. It's just like bending the aluminum profiles in different directions, keeping it very sharp. But it's very nice. It's very recognizable from afar. And then, of course, when you are walking around the building, you see this pattern changing in the perimeter of the facade. Yeah, again, like I think this is my last image, and I hope I did not explode the time, but I think with great attention to fundamental fundamental sustainability principles, we were able to create a timeless building, which is very simple and elegant, and then it's extremely future-proof. So especially for libraries that have learning environments that are constantly changing and evolving. So yeah, I think this is, I hope that I could give you a nice overview of this, of how is a bit of the journey of design process, how do we create narratives for our designs, and then how we make these designs meaningful for the users, for the community around. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rodrigo. What a lovely image to finish up on. We'll keep it up here for our conversation, because it's perfectly encapsulating a lot of the design elements that you talked about. Particularly love that facade. It blew me away. Actually, I didn't realize the intricacy of it until you zoomed in there. So lovely. Thank you so much. Incredible presentation, and yeah, fitting in 4 projects in that level of detail. Really, really impressed that you actually managed to do that inside 45 minutes. Before I jump into a couple of questions, just want to remind everybody, if you'd like to follow in Rodrigo's footsteps and Mecanoo's footsteps, make sure to respond to our poll in the bottom right corner of your screen to get signed up for the upcoming A+ Awards program. We'd love to have you on the Future Fest stage next year. Yeah, I think speaking of A+ awards, I can kind of jump into the first question. I just wanted to congratulate Rodrigo and Mecanoo for your recent A+ awards accolades, one of which was for the library that we see on our screen. Would love it if you could share a little bit about what this kind of award means to you and how it kind of benefits a firm like Mecanoo.
We are very happy that we received this award, and actually I think for us is important because to be able to show, well, first to receive the prize, of course, but to be able to show our design process, because sometimes people look at pictures of a building or renders and then you say, I like it or not. You may still like it or not what we are doing here or these projects, but it's important also to show the design process, everything that happened behind the final product. And then I think it's important that we have this opportunity to show a little bit more how we design, and the stories behind that are not maybe very clear. Now we are very thankful for this opportunity. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We love to give a platform for firms to tell the story, but then it's up to you to tell it well, and you absolutely did today. So I really appreciate it, especially the diagrams, and then also the construction photographs. Love to see that transformation, and I think it is very revealing of how difficult and challenging architecture can be, especially when you see a site like the one you had at the train station, at the number of different obstacles in your way to get that project to reality is incredible. And I also loved the geographic kind of cohesion of this this presentation, and to see how you developed in this country that is so far from Mecanoo's home base. And there was a couple of questions came in around that. One was, what do you think has contributed to Mecanoo's successful series of projects in Taiwan specifically? And kind of a related question, how does your team operate in Taiwan? Do you have people that are based there permanently? Obviously, you have these very, very large multi-year projects. Do you have people that go out there? Do you like to rotate the team to get new perspectives within Taiwan? Yeah, I'm just curious to know how that works on a global scale.
I think what happened was of course, when we were invited to join the competition of the Performing Arts Center back in 2005, we did the design, we won the competition. Then, suddenly we had to get more people from Taiwan, of course, but we had some already in the office, and then we started our office there that would follow, especially the construction phase of the project. This was again like a 12 years process from design to completion. And of course, by working there, the design team that was also based in the Netherlands, they were like constant trips to back and forth to do presentations, to understand, to work together with the locals that were the engineering companies, the acousticians, anyways, like the bigger group of designers, and the local architects. We always need to have local architects from local architecture company, as our architecture of record. So you always work in collaboration with a local office. But we had a big team working on this project, and then after that, all the other projects that came, I only showed 4 projects, but we are still working in residential projects. We have another train station that is in design now that will take another 10 years to build, but that one is less complicated because we started the process ourselves. But, also visitor center, we have several different projects. And I go myself a lot of times to Taiwan per year. Also my colleagues, we have, again, like Taiwanese colleagues here working. And yeah, so that's how we collaborate. And this project was done with a local firm called Mayu. They are amazing. We have been collaborating in many other projects since we started the Tainan library. So I think it's really about exchanging knowledge and, like being connected to each other. And of course, it's important to go there. So that's how we have been working in the past years abroad.
I love that. Yeah, that's actually perfect for in relation to the A Plus Awards. Our theme for the coming season is actually local versus global. How local knowledge and global expertise can be combined together. So it's like kind of a perfect encapsulation of that. And yeah, another question I think people were curious about how Mecanoo kind of first managed to win the project. I guess these public projects are typically done through competitions. I'm not sure. I'd love to know, are they, in your experience, are they mostly open competitions or invited competitions? And do you have any advice for any firms to kind of maximize their chance of succeeding in a competition like this?
Yeah, for example, these are very large scale projects, and normally we are invited to participate on a tender, and then it's first based on your own portfolio and expertise. So, for example, for the Performing Arts Center, we had to, to do a design competition, but also being able to prove that you are capable with your own portfolio, but also as a team to design such a program. And then the library was no different, although the library was it was an open competition. And then again, like, it's also a little bit like taking risks, because here we competed against, I think there was 16 entries, and there was a presentation. So everybody had to submit a model and go there to present. And of course, like the jury, we had a lot of experience in libraries, so we felt that was a good entry, a good competition to enter. Sometimes we don't win, we did other competitions that we did not win. So it's a little bit of a combination, but mostly we work on invited competitions, or small scale projects, you get direct commissions. But yeah, and then I think my advice for young firms is, depending on where you are based, I think good opportunities to team up, perhaps if you're a local partner of a bigger office. If you're able to collaborate with offices that have more experience, you can boost, let's say, your portfolio or experience, and then you are going to be able to enter in maybe a larger scale or more specific competitions. But I know these competitions, they are different in every place. For example, in Brazil, most of the competitions are open competitions. So any architecture office can compete for any kind of project, like it can be a library, it can be a landscape project, it can be a master plan. But that's really like an open competition. Every country has a bit of a different approach. But mostly we enter in invited competitions, and then we submit portfolio, and then we go to the second phase, which is the design phase.
Fantastic. That's so fascinating. And even if it's an invited competition, it doesn't sound.
No, it doesn't mean that we win.
Easy to win, right?
It's a lot of work. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, congratulations to Mecanoo for this series of successes, and obviously one is building on the next in terms of building up knowledge in this area. I look forward to seeing what comes next, both in Taiwan, but also around the globe from Mecanoo. That's unfortunately all we've got time for the moment. In 1 hour from now, we're going to be going around the world again, I think to Costa Rica, as far as I remember, or Salagnac Arquitectos, to explore their modern tropical architecture. So I'm really excited for that one. Make sure that you sign up. That will be our final Future Fest talk of this series. So make sure you don't miss that one. Respond to our A+ Awards poll before you go. And until next time, Rodrigo, thank you again for a fantastic presentation.
Thank you so much, Paul, and I hope that everyone enjoyed.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye for now,
you.
everyone.
Bye.